What's up, guys? Captain McFly here, and welcome to On Deck, the podcast where we talk about games and the industry. And we have an interesting one here that had surged and kind of has come to light right around the 4th of July holiday. And apologies also for a bit of a delay in getting the next episode out after we did a couple, and then it's been almost 2, maybe 3 weeks since the last one. I apologize. That is my fault. We will be better about it, and I will do better to make this a more consistent podcast, whether it's every other week or once a week. We're getting better. I promise. Now, the discussion we are going to have today: next gen video games. Are we about to pay $10 more to get our games? Now, so where all this is coming from is recently NBA 2K21 recently listed itself at $70. I can't remember exactly where this was listed specifically. Oh gosh, where was it? It may have just been, I think it maybe was Amazon or something like that. But the people that actually broke it first was gamesindustry.biz. And we're going to skim a little bit of the article here just to give you guys some context, get everybody on the same page so that we can then have the discussion. And by the way, if you would like to join the live version of finding these kind of stuff out together, we do stream these podcasts and we record them live, and then we kick it out over to YouTube, and then it also hits you in your ears on the podcast platforms. But if you'd like to see it live and hang out with chat, you can find me at twitch.tv/CaptainMcFly. So, NBA 2K21 will have a recommended price of $70 when it launches on PS5 and Xbox Series X this year. This is coming from Christopher Dring, or I'm so sorry, bud, over at gamesindustry.biz. We will list the article in the notes just in case you would like to give them a click, give them credit for the work, because this is some interesting news. And so for those playing at home, that is indeed $10 more than the PS4 and Xbox One games right now. But also, this is $10 more than the same game that will be released on PS4 and Xbox One. Let me repeat that one more time. NBA 2K21 on PS4 will be $60. On PS5, $70. Same game, different console. Is this the beginning of a price change for games going forward? I don't know. So this is the first hint that next gen might actually lead to higher prices, as software development costs are expected to increase with these new machines, says Mr. Dring. The Xbox One and PS4 versions are due September 4th, with the PS5 and Xbox Series X set to launch alongside the new machines later this year. As of this recording, we actually don't know when these next consoles are set to release. Right now, we just have a nebulous holiday 2020. That could be around Thanksgiving for the United States. That's maybe mid-late November, early December, something like that. We're a little bit unsure when that is going to be. So the issue around game pricing was discussed by former President Executive Sean Layden last month. He told attendees at the Game Lab conference, "It's been $60 since I've started in the business, but the cost of games have gone up 10 times. If you don't have elasticity on price point, but you have huge volatility on the cost line, the model becomes more difficult. I think this generation is going to see those two imperatives collide." So what Sean is basically saying, guys, is games are getting more and more expensive to make and are taking more and more resources to deliver a product for consumers, for us, for gamers to play and enjoy. I understand that. That makes sense. You know, to get games like Destiny, like Last of Us 2, they're expensive. It costs a lot of money to make these things. But the price has stayed pretty stagnant. You know, myself, I'm 32 years old, I'm about to be 33 in a couple weeks. And I can't remember games costing nothing else than $60. You know, you maybe get like a random offshoot of a game that'll cost, you know, $40 or some DLC that'll be a little bit less. But for the most part, a brand new release game, a AAA game, has been $60 for the better part of my, you know, my human life on this planet and as a gamer. So that's kind of strange if you think about it. So as you're growing up, just think back. I remember when gas, okay, was less than $1 a gallon, but gas has adjusted its price. The market has adapted, you know, just based on just the needs of the industry, the cost to get it around. You know, things happen. Things have had to adapt. Movie tickets, another good example, another entertainment industry, another entertainment medium has had to increase its prices in ticket sales to be able to have theaters still survive. The cost of living, staff, overhead, you know, and just everything in between. And also just other like things like DLC, snacks, you know, like you can see the parallels here. The movie industry has adapted to this. The music industry has done the same thing. Video games haven't yet. We might be seeing this happen within this year. So going back to the article over here, Layton said that one solution to rising costs of development was to create shorter games. NBA 2K21 has multiple versions, including one that crosses the two console generations. The Kobe Bryant fronted Mamba Forever Edition is available across all platforms for $99.99 and will feature a host of extra digital content. In addition, anyone who purchases this version can get the standard version of the game on the other generations at no extra cost within the same console family. So you can do this between 4 and 5, but not from PS4 to Xbox Series X. You got to stay in the same vertical. So if you buy the PS4 Forever Edition of the game, you can get the standard version on PS5 as part of the package. By the way, this is some serious bull with this. I think this is weird. If you're getting a Forever Edition, an edition that has DLC, but you're just going to give them the standard version when they go forward, they're going to miss out on the extra little things. That's just, I don't know. That seems like I mean, if you're going to make them jump, dude, like at least extend the hand and meet them to pull them across. Like that almost seems like you're tripping them a little bit as they cross the finish line, in my opinion. So NBA 2K21 is a monumental leap forward for the franchise, stated president of Visual Concepts, Greg Thomas. We're combining all of our experience and developer expertise to craft the best game possible for PS5 and Xbox Series X. We are building the game from the ground up to take full advantage of the next-gen power and technology. Ugh. All right, so this is interesting. And then I saw this tweet earlier today from Destin Legary over at IGN. By the way, click his heart, follow him. He's a good guy over at IGN. The more I think about the $10 price hike for games, the more I disagree with it. This is Destin saying this. So he gave some profits for Q1 in 2020. EA in Q1 of this year, $1.118 billion, which is a 16%, 16.22 year over year. So that means from last year, they are up 16%. Take-Two is up 30%, and Activision it's 1.6%, but they're up. They're up when a global market is kind of not in a great place. Not a lot of us are, making the money that we used to. A lot of people are unemployed. In the United States, we're hovering around, I'm sure somebody's going to tell me this, I'm wrong, but as of today, July 8th, 2020, we are around 20-ish% unemployment in the United States. That's a lot of people that are not making what they were making a year ago. And so these companies are actually doing all right. They're doing okay. So when they're talking about increasing the price of the games, I can see that one side of, does that make sense? Does it make sense? And the answer is, for me, my answer is yes and no. which people are going to say, stop riding the fence. I'm like, well, I could see both sides. I could see perspectives on this. If I'm looking at this from Microsoft or Sony, things like that, people that have first party studios, they want to make sure that their software moves. They're making their money on software and services. They're not making it on the consoles. That's been known for a while. That's pretty well known that hardware is not going to make you money. Software is. And if it's your own first party software, that's a little bit more in your pocket. And even with the third party studios as well. But as the demands of games increases, it requires either more expertise, more knowledgeable staff, even just more staff. It requires more to create a product, to create a game, to create an experience. It takes more to stay current because there's more you can do. There's more knobs to turn. There's more sliders to play with. There's more that can be done, but you have to pay for that. The production has to be made. And I could see different sides of this. You know, a lot of things that we've seen in this current generation is games as service. Games like Destiny and Warframe, World of Warcraft, which is kind of its own thing as well. But you've seen games that are ever evolving and changing all the time. Even Borderlands 3 as well. They're doing these kinds of services where the game exists long after you paid for the original retail of the game. It costs money. It costs staff. It costs just human manpower and hours to make things possible. How do they cover that cost? Well, they're not charging you another $60. They're getting microtransactions from you to be able to cover those costs, to fund that going forward, and paying for DLC and things like that. But what if they were able to get a little bit even more on the front end at $70 versus $60? $10 doesn't sound like a lot, but it starts to add up pretty quickly. It starts to add up pretty stinking quickly. So, kind of circling back to $70, $60. Does it make sense? At the end of the day, I think if we don't get there this year, I feel like we're staring at it in the face. I feel like it is an imminent change that is coming to the industry, whether we want it or not. Whether we as consumers want it or not, games eventually need to adjust. And we've started to see this as well. You know, we're probably going to see this with Miles Morales and Spider-Man. I was expecting that game to be a full $60, AAA release. We've heard a little bit more information that it's maybe going to be more like $40. Kind of like what was the game? It was Infamous First Light or something like that. A game where it's like a $40 experience, or what was it? Was it Lost Legacy? Uncharted 4? I think so. But anyway, I think you're going to start to see disparity based on what the experience is. You're going to see $60 to $70 games for that full retail moment. Okay, you're going to see that full retail moment where it is meaty, it's big. $70. And then I think you're going to start to see a little bit more of a rise in games that are $40. But also too, is it time to move forward from 60 to 70? Especially in a time that we're in right now, in a current, like, post current COVID economy, global economy, not just domestic US, global economy. Businesses are struggling to keep things alive. They are, despite, everything being red, rosy, and, even here too, with Destin reporting here as well, from macrotrends.com or .net, macrotrends.net, you're able to see these year over years from the 3 biggest publishers in the world. They're doing all right. They are in the black. They're doing great. I wouldn't say great, but they're healthy. They're not hemorrhaging. They're not hemorrhaging right now. So, but a lot of us as consumers kind of are. Is this the time to go from 60 to 70? The human in me says no, because the global just human economy and everything like that is like, we're not doing that great overall, at least in the United States. You're already going to have a hard enough time getting people to buy next gen consoles. I don't think it's time to kick them while they're down yet. Even if these people that are able to afford the next console, do you really want them to pay an extra $10 for the software? I mean, they could put that towards your online service for the next, month or something like that. I don't know. I think this is going to happen, though. 100%. I think this is going to happen. So let's take a look here at the Washington Post from Gene Park. I believe I follow Gene Park on Twitter, too. So video games have been $60 for as long as you can remember, but prices for the upcoming NBA 2K21 gave some people some slight sticker shock. And they also reference the same gamesindustry.biz article that we referenced earlier. Since games have moved, retail prices for major releases or AAA haven't moved since Activision released Call of Duty 2 back in 2005 at $60. So since 2005, we've basically been living in this $60 world. And so Ars Technica confirmed the pricing with 2K, with a spokesperson only being on the value increase of the technology the game offers. So really, even as well, like based on this statement here, we're seeing the reason for the price increase is because there's a little bit more going on in the game that required a little bit extra to get that money back. All right. For years, it is long believed that the $60 price point is the only price that the US games market could bear. And there's more expensives in the international markets, which is very true. You could talk to anybody that's in Australia right now or New Zealand. We have people in our community that are over, in that part of the world, and even in Canada as well, not even that far north of us, are paying considerably more to get what we pay $60. It could be like 1.2% or 1.18% more. They're paying more. They're already kind of there. And so in the last 3 years, we saw an explosion of varying price tiers, anywhere from free like Fortnite to monthly subscription services like Apple Arcade and Game Pass. And much of the industry's total game sales are digital downloads anyway. The shift to $70 should have taken place in 2013, in my opinion, tweeted analyst Mark Piscatella of market research firm the NPD Group. But folks thought mobile was a threat to the console business. Instead, we got collector's editions, silver and gold editions, which offer content or perks that elevate above the $60 price point anyway. Big publishers like Activision, Ubi, and EA all regularly release marked up special editions of games. These prices often only come with marginal bonuses, a skin, an emote, etc. It's essentially charging people extra on nothing but a promise that more content is coming. EA's disastrous launch of Anthem. Oh man, moment of silence for Anthem. In 2018 was a high-profile example of a game that charged a premium of promised content and barely delivered. Games haven't always been $60 though. Pricing in the 90s usually depend on your local stores. Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis were anywhere from $40 to $100 a cartridge. It wasn't until 2005 that a retail price was officially standardized. Man, this is honestly something to... Whew. I got to tell you something, that this is something I didn't even consider this. I'm an example of someone that does this. I buy games that are gold editions or, the collector's edition. I mean, I did it for Destiny. I bought the collector's edition of Destiny. One, because I wanted all the DLC that was coming, but this is an example. People are willing to pay for it. Now, but some of those editions cost, $100, $120, and sometimes you get a little knickknack, a collectible, things like that. I could see that kind of the argument. I can see that kind of an argument. But a game like The Division or even Borderlands, like if you get like a certain edition, you maybe get a couple skins and things like that. But really, at the end of the day, you're still getting you are getting what the base edition of the game is getting for someone else, just by paying a little bit extra. What if you just force everybody to pay that little extra? That's what we're looking at as consumers. That is what we're looking at. Companies are testing the waters. 2K and NBA 2K21, I think this is them. They're just throwing a bomb, like, let's just see if it works. It's I wouldn't say it's a Hail Mary throw, because it's not like they're not drowning. But this is more of like, we're doing all right. Let's throw this one a little bit deep. It might be a little bit risky. We might pay for it somewhere, whether it's in Goodwill or people just refusing to buy or unable to buy, whatever the market ends up determining. This might be 2K just seeing how we react. It's like a weird game of chicken. It's a weird game of chicken in a way. Will people buy it? And if so, which one are they going to get? Are people going to spend $100 to be able to get a version that'll let them go to the next gen? Or are they going to just say, I don't know if I can afford 70, sorry, I'll just get my regular one on PS4, thanks. I don't know. Some of it is on us as consumers. I've heard a lot of people say, if you really want to send a message to a company, use your wallet. Money talks. Money talks. Money talks. But while the new $70 price tag may be expected, it comes at a difficult, unprecedented time in the industry. And the first game to make the price jump is far from ideal when it comes to value. I agree with this statement from Gene Park over at the Washington Post. I agree with this statement wholeheartedly. This is probably the truest statement right here. While the new $70 price tag may be expected, and me personally, Mike Botkin, CaptainMcFly right here, I think this is something we need to expect as consumers. It is inevitable. Like a meteor hitting the earth and killing all the dinosaurs. It was going to happen anyway. This is something you need to prepare for as a consumer. This may mean you have to be a little more choosy in how many games you buy over time. But it is a weird time for this to happen. Brand new console generation. Global economy is not in the bestest circumstances. It is far from ideal. And not only that, when it's a game like NBA 2K21 that puts Kobe Bryant on the cover too. Rest in peace, Kobe. This is a very it's weird. Because on one hand, you're going to get people that are going to say, yeah, I want that game because I love Kobe. I want to have this game because it's the year that Kobe passed away. He's on the box and, it's almost like, it almost becomes a collector's item in itself. So it may even be kind of a skewed perspective on what happens with that. I don't know. The NBA 2K franchise has faced complaints for predatory microtransaction practices, which charge players more real-life dollars to buy shoes and other things for multiplayer features and in-game characters. The company even had to apologize for charging for haircuts. Ooh. Yikes. For decades, even during the 1990s, the annualized sports games released is typically only a roster update with a few feature tweaks and graphical updates. This has been an issue for sports games for a while, chat. Meanwhile, older and still more complicated games like Fortnite and Destiny 2 regularly update freely while charging for only season passes filled with in-game content. Fans of annual games like Madden have been asking for a free-to-play model for a long time now. While this may be a hint of future endeavors, it has been 3 years since EA released Star Wars Battlefront 2, charging $60 while also including pay-to-win mechanics. The game caused furor and led to lawmakers all over the world legislating against the practice. This became the loot box problem. And countries like China saying, you need to give people statistics to know what is going on inside these loot boxes because this is gambling. Pretty much. So, the problem wasn't EA pursuing a new business model, something like the industry is always doing. The problem is that a new business model, the free-to-play microtransaction model popularized by mobile games, was stacked right at the top of old premium $60 business models. Regardless of both the optics and any consumer outrage, it works. Take-Two Interactive has said its 2K games are a big chunk of its quarterly billion-dollar revenue haul. The complaints are there, but people are still spending. Exactly this. People are complaining and have complained about this. And even us, we're unsure. Your wallet will speak far louder than any tweet, letter, podcast, anything you can say. Your wallet will speak more than anything else. So, we'll also put this article in the notes as well for Mr. Park. But all to circle back, are we in a position where the industry is ready to do it? I think the industry is ready to do it because they need it. The publishers may not need it. The studios do. The people putting in the work to make the games, push it to the next level, they need to be able to pay their staff and pay them well. There's an excellent book on the gaming industry, which, guys, I highly recommend you go read this, by Jason Schreier, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. If you want to get an eye into crunch culture and working conditions on people that make games, companies like Naughty Dog, Blizzard, and even smaller companies too, like the guy that made Stardew Valley all by himself. It takes a lot to make games, and people making insane sacrifices with staff that they honestly could maybe use double the staff to get it done, but they're having to do it themselves because this is the budget. This is how much that they're going to charge, and they can't bring more people in because they will not make their money back, or they won't even get even. Something has to give. Money has to come back in somehow. And if paying an extra $10 is going to help the industry as a whole, me personally, I'm for it. But the juice has to be worth the squeeze. The juice has to be worth the squeeze. I would hope that this would mean to better working conditions for publishers and studios. And I hope that it also guarantees and ushers in a step forward in the quality of the experiences that we get to have as gamers and fans of this medium that we all love so much. So, that is my final verdict. I think $70 is inevitable, but it's got to be worth it in the end. And I hope that it brings about positive change and working environments for those that work in this industry. So guys, that is another episode here of On Deck. Kind of did it off the cuff. Let me know what you think. This was no prep at all. This is no prep at all. We'll link these articles again from thegamesindustry.biz as well as the Washington Post. Make sure you click on those articles. Give them the click. They deserve it. They gave us a big construct for us to have this conversation here. But yes, if you'd like to see more of these, feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also follow me over on twitch.tv/CaptainMcFly. And you can also find us on your favorite podcast service of choice. Until next time, guys, peace out.